Welcome to our recap of Casablanca, a timeless classic from 1942. The movie starts in Casablanca, Morocco, where our hero, Rick Blaine, owns the most prestigious nightclub in the city, Rick's Café Américain. As World War II rages, Casablanca becomes a hub for refugees seeking to escape to America. Rick, a cynical and disillusioned ex-freedom fighter, remains detached from the political turmoil around him. His cafe is a melting pot of different characters, from desperate refugees to corrupt officials. This film highlights the desperation of people who are in Casablanca and wants to avoid war and seeks refuge in America, and they wait in Casablanca and wait. Casablanca is under French control and remains a neutral place, but the corrupt French officer, who is both wicked and humorous, is in the pocket of the Germans. When a strict German officer's plane lands in Casablanca, the French officer greets him, while an eager Italian officer tries to get close, only to be ignored by the German. The arrival of Ilse Lund and her husband, a renowned resistance leader, disrupts Rick's carefully maintained neutrality. Ilse and Rick share a tumultuous past, having fallen in love in Paris before she mysteriously left him. The corrupt French official warns Rick about a high-profile figure arriving in the city. He advises Rick against providing any assistance to this person, particularly in obtaining legal documents to escape to America. Enter Ilse Lund and Victor Laszlo. Ilse is a stunning and enigmatic woman, and Victor is a renowned resistance leader, passionately fighting against the Nazis. Laszlo's reputation as a fearless and influential leader has made him a target for the German forces, who are desperate to capture him. The plot thickens when we delve into Rick and Ilse's shared past. Through a series of flashbacks, we learn that Rick and Ilse once had a passionate romance in Paris. Their love affair, however, was cut short abruptly when the Germans invaded the city. Rick was left heartbroken when Ilse vanished without explanation on the day they were supposed to escape together. Now, Ilse and Victor arrive in Casablanca, seeking refuge and a way to continue their fight against the Nazis. Ilse is in for a shock when she steps into Rick's cafe and comes face to face with the man she once loved. The sight of Rick stirs up a flood of memories and emotions, making the already tense atmosphere even more charged with unspoken words and hidden feelings. The heart of Casablanca's complex web of intrigue and desperation lies the coveted letters of transit. These documents are essentially free passes that allow the bearers to leave Nazi-occupied territories and travel freely, making them incredibly valuable for anyone seeking to escape the tightening grip of the German forces. In a twist of fate, Rick finds himself in possession of these precious letters of transit. Their importance cannot be overstated, as they represent freedom and a chance at a new life for those who manage to get their hands on them. However, Rick keeps this knowledge close to his chest, aware of the power and danger these letters hold. Meanwhile, corrupt and opportunistic official exploits the desperation of those trapped in Casablanca. He offers safe passage to America to a beautiful young woman, but at a terrible cost. He demands sexual favors in exchange for the letters of transit. When the distraught young woman seeks assurance, he cynically suggests she ask Rick for confirmation, claiming Rick will tell her that he is the man of his words. This leads us to a poignant moment that reveals a different side of Rick. The young woman, driven by her desperation to save her husband and herself, approaches Rick. Instead of turning a blind eye, Rick listens to her story and is deeply moved by her plight. In an unexpected act of compassion, Rick ensures that her husband wins big at the casino, giving them the financial means to secure their escape without compromising her dignity. This act of kindness sheds light on Rick's true character. Despite his hardened exterior and the bitterness that stems from Ilse's past betrayal, Rick's sense of justice and inherent goodness remain intact. His actions demonstrate that he is not the cold, detached man he appears to be, but rather someone shaped by pain who still possesses a strong moral compass. As the intricate dance of emotions and alliances continues, Rick finds himself unable to ignore his lingering feelings for Ilse. He tries to approach her, hoping for some understanding or closure. However, Ilse, burdened by her own secrets and struggles, responds coldly and distances herself from Rick. This interaction leaves Rick even more bitter and confused, adding to the emotional turmoil that permeates the cafe. Meanwhile, Victor Laszlo, ever determined and resourceful, seeks out Rick to request the letters of transit. Understanding the dire situation he and Ilse are in, Victor knows these documents are their best chance to escape and continue their fight against the Nazis. He tries to persuade Rick, appealing to his sense of justice and the importance of their cause. However, Rick, still reeling from his encounter with Ilse and wary of getting involved, refuses to hand over the letters. The tension escalates further in a powerful and symbolic moment within the cafe. After Rick's refusal, Victor heads downstairs to the main area of the nightclub. There, he encounters a group of Germans boisterously singing their national anthem. In a bold act of defiance, Victor starts singing La Marseillaise, the French national anthem, at the top of his lungs. His powerful voice cuts through the German song, capturing the attention of everyone in the room. Seeing Victor's courage and inspired by his leadership, the cafe's patrons, including French nationals and refugees, join in the singing. At first hesitant, the house band looks to Rick for approval. In a rare moment of public solidarity, Rick nods his consent, and the musicians begin to play along with Victor. The entire cafe erupts in a fervent rendition of La Marseillaise, their collective voices growing louder and more unified. The German officers are visibly enraged as their song is drowned out by the passionate and defiant chorus. This spontaneous act of rebellion not only lifts the spirits of those oppressed, but also solidifies the cafe as a place of resistance and hope against the encroaching darkness of Nazi occupation. Infuriated by the patriotic display, the German officers demand the closure of Rick's cafe. The German official orders Captain Renault to shut down the nightclub, aiming to quash any further acts of defiance. Meanwhile, Victor Laszlo, ever resourceful, manages to secure documents for Ilsa's escape. However, Ilsa refuses to leave without her husband, showcasing their deep and unwavering love for each other. Despite the increasing dangers, Victor remains committed to his cause. He attends a secret underground meeting, continuing his efforts to rally support against the Nazis. Desperate and determined, Ilsa goes to Rick's apartment, seeking his help. She gently asks him for the letters of transit, appealing to his compassion. Rick, still wounded by their past, refuses her request. In a tense and emotional moment, Ilsa, frustrated by his refusal, challenges him. "Don't you want to know why I left you?" Rick, bitter and guarded, retorts. "You can tell me anything now, but how can I trust you?" The confrontation escalates dramatically when Ilsa, driven by desperation and fear, draws a hidden gun on Rick. The sight of the gun shocks Rick, revealing the extent of Ilsa's desperation and the dangerous stakes they all face. The charged atmosphere forces both of them to confront their tangled emotions and the perilous reality of their situation. Ilsa tells Victor that when she fell in love with him, her husband was in concentration camp, and just before they were about to start their new life, Victor somehow escaped and she couldn't betray him, and that is the reason she didn't came with Rick. Following the intense confrontation between Rick and Ilsa, Victor and Ilsa reunite, their bond as strong as ever, despite the dangers they face. Victor arrives at the nightclub, visibly wounded from his underground activities. Sensing the immediate threat, Rick quickly hides Ilsa and ensures Victor's safety. As the situation calms, Rick and Victor have a heartfelt conversation. Through this interaction, Rick realizes that Victor is not only a brave resistance leader, but also a genuinely good man deeply devoted to Ilsa and their cause. This understanding begins to shift Rick's perspective on their predicament. The tension escalates as the police arrive at the club, intending to arrest Victor. Despite Rick's efforts to protect him, Victor is taken into custody. However, Rick's resourcefulness comes to the fore once again. He bribes the corrupt French official, securing Victor's release. After his release, Ilsa told Rick that she wants to be with him and can't endure losing him again. Rick reassures Ilsa that he has a plan and that she should not worry. In a clever and risky maneuver, Rick approaches Captain Renault with a proposal. He tells Renault that he will give the letters of transit to Victor, setting the stage for Renault to arrest him red-handed. This ploy is intended to create a scenario where Victor's capture seems imminent. The plan is set into motion, and the tension mounts as Renault prepares to arrest Victor at the opportune moment. However, in a dramatic twist, when Renault moves to apprehend Victor, Rick intervenes. Drawing his gun, Rick takes Renault at gunpoint, turning the tables on the corrupt official. Rick orders Renault to call the airport so Victor and Ilsa can go safely, but Renault called the German officer. With Captain Renault at gunpoint, Rick forces him to cooperate. They proceed to the airport, where Rick plans to ensure Victor and Ilsa's escape. As they arrive, the tension is palpable, with each character aware of the delicate balance between success and disaster. At the airport, Rick reveals the depth of his sacrifice to Ilsa. He tells her that she must go with Victor, as their cause and his leadership in the resistance are too important. Though Ilsa is torn, Rick's firm resolve convinces her. He assures her that their love will always remain a cherished memory, but their paths must diverge for a greater good. Captain Renault, initially complicit in the arrest plot, now finds himself swayed by Rick's courage and integrity. Rick's decisive actions and moral clarity inspire a change in Renault, and he chooses to assist in their escape. As the plane prepares for takeoff, Major Strasser, a high-ranking German officer, arrives at the scene, intent on stopping the escape. In a climactic confrontation, Rick shoots Strasser, preventing him from thwarting their plan. The plane carrying Victor and Ilsa takes off, symbolizing hope and resistance against tyranny. With the immediate danger past, Rick and Renault face the aftermath. Renault, impressed by Rick's bravery and sense of justice, decides to join him. The two men, now allies, walk off together into the fog, contemplating their next move. Rick suggests they join the Free French forces, marking the beginning of a new chapter in their fight against oppression. Rick's final words to Renault: "Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship."